Hi, it's David Taylor back with another video blog for the Pelargonium and Geranium Society. We are coming towards the end of winter at long last, and it's time to stop the zonal pelargonium, so let's get going on that. Hi there, well it's very good to see you again. It's probably over a month since I last done a video. I'm filming this on the 2nd of February, so we've just sort of gone in to the last month of the meteorological winter anyway in the Northern Hemisphere. There's definitely, in the last couple of weeks, we've definitely seen a lengthening of the days. That's a difficult one to get out. The days are definitely getting a bit longer, certainly in the morning. Get up now and it's definitely lighter. The evenings are getting a little bit longer as well. So the daylight is getting more. There is more daylight now compared to, say, the shortest day, which was, obviously towards the end of December in the Northern Hemisphere. And so I'm hopeful soon that plants will begin to turn and begin to show a few signs of growth. Now, one of the big problems that we have had is this very, very changeable weather that we've had in the UK over the winter. It's been very, very difficult to get certainly the zonals through the winter. I've been having to strip down leaves literally every other day. It's been a constant issue all winter, purely because it's been just so very, very wet. Now I've come down this morning and I already see a few sort of dead or dying leaves, with a little bit of botrytis, just beginning to spread here and there. We haven't had a great deal of frost this winter, certainly no prolonged period of them. We had, a couple of weeks ago, we had about 2 or 3 nights with relatively hard frosts. But other than that, we've not had a great deal of frost over the winter. But the key thing for me is just when we do get a bit of dry weather, like we have done, like today, I've got the greenhouse closed purely to do the video. It's been vital to get the greenhouse open, to get air circulating around. That's been the most important thing. Now, as I said at the very beginning, it is just under 19 weeks. It's 19 weeks yesterday until the show. Now, traditionally, for the zonal types, you would stop doubles at around 18 weeks and singles at around 16 weeks. Now, to give a bit of leeway, you do some a bit further than that and some a bit nearer than that. So I'm going to have a look at doing a few today, and I'll probably go through one of them on the video now. Now, I have actually, just in this last week, we did have a couple of really nice dry, airy days. So I did a few then. I don't think it will harm. We have got a relatively early national show this year. It's the 13th of June. As I say, 19 weeks yesterday, which really is a smidge early to be doing your stopping. But I'm willing to take that chance this year, purely because we brought the show forward over a week really this year in terms of when the calendar falls compared to last. So the actual growing time is going to be in a slightly cooler period anyway, because we brought that whole growing time forward about 8 or 9 days with the way that the calendar's falling, and the fact that we've got a leap year this year. So in terms of last year, we're a full 9 days prior to when the show was last year. Now, my hand has been forced with 1 or 2. I did actually stop these standard stellas that we've been working through together over the last couple of years. Stellas do suffer pretty badly from botrytis, to be quite honest. So I just took the decision to cut these back and really strip them out. Very important to do. So I did both of those really at probably best part of 20 weeks. So they may be okay for the show, but I think they're going to be a bit too small. They're a bit too immature to use as show plants probably for this year, but we'll see how they grow. Okay, so the first thing that I would always do, you see, I've got a dwarf zonal here that I'm going to stop. This is one of my seedlings actually. Now you've seen the development of these over the last year. And these have actually grown very well. I'm very pleased with some of these. There's just a few things that you've got to do really before you stop your zoning. Firstly, you need a good airy day. You want these tips, so you're going to be slipping off, to have lots of air circulating around them to ensure that they dry out. And another key for that, of course, is ensuring that the plant is dry. This plant really has got to be is bone dry. Is probably almost sort of borderlining on too dry, but not too concerned about that. It's got one or two, again, dead or dying leaves. These have been brought on almost certainly by the fact that it is remaining very dry. Now, the first thing we're going to have to do is get rid of all of these flower blooms that are just beginning to break out. This is because the plant has obviously not been stopped. It may have been minorly shaped in the early autumn, but it's grown through now and has begun to throw flowers. So all these flowers are be coming off. Any dead or dying leaves will be stripped, and I will just take off that little nip of growing point down in there. We'll see how well the plant is balanced after taking all the little tips out, and we'll carry on from there. Now these little tip stops, a number of growers would just rub these out. I actually do like to get a sharp little knife in there just to nip them and rub them off. But it's clear that a good number of growers would just get their finger in there and just rub that out. But as I say, I just like to have a little nick just in there, if I can just focus on that. Just a little snick over. And there it is. Tiny little piece comes out. And that's left a really neat little stop. Right, okay, so there we are. I've actually stripped this down quite a bit now. Now, one of the key things with doing your stopping is at this time of year, we want to get a lot of light into the plant. So as well as doing tip stopping, I'm actually stripping a lot of the leaves off. It's very important to get light into the plant, and that's what we're wanting now. We want to get light into the plant to really trigger it to really get growing. Now you can see I've actually gone in quite deep on that one. That was clearly unbalanced. That was really sticking out to the side. I've got another one on the other side that I will do here live now. I'll show you how to do that. And I'm just looking at the plant. I don't think there's a great deal more that I'm going to do. I've tip stopped most of them. There is a little small stem down in here, and I think I'm actually going to leave that because it's a little bit short on this side, and I'm going to leave that to just carry on growing so that it grows out and balances off against this other side, which is a little bit further outgrown. So that one's going to stay. I think in terms of shaping and sizing, the only one that I'm going to cut down a bit more to balance off is this top one. We've got this top one here, and I'm going to cut that down relatively hard in order for it to balance off with the one that side and the other one that side, which I have cut out because I had a little bit of rot on the top of that stem, so I've cut that a little bit deeper. But this one here will need to go down. If you look in there, hopefully I can focus in on this. There is a side shoot just growing out that side, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to cut down to that side shoot that's growing out. But we have got a lot of little shoots growing out of that stem, so I'm quite happy about that. So I can take that down relatively deep without causing too many problems, but it'll balance it off then with these three stems. There we are. In fact, I've just left it above that, so I'm just going to tidy that off and slice that off as well, because that'll grow too unbalanced if I let that shoot grow out to the side. So that's fine, I want that growing inwards anyway. So there we are, I've taken that down. That was one of the main stems for balancing off. And that's nicely balanced now with the other shoot. I have I have tip stopped this one, which is important to enable it to be balanced with the other side. But you can see I've got lots and lots of side shoots growing out from all of these stems further down. Now, the other thing that I need to do is get my tweezers in and take all of these dying stipules off. You can see them all, there's loads on here. So I'm going to strip them all off. That'll take me a little bit of time, so I'll show you the plant afterwards. But other than that, I'm relatively happy. I am going to take that leaf off. It is quite young. I mean, this was a seedling sown on the 8th of March, so it'll only be 15 months old come the time of the show. So it'll be interesting to see how well that does. Now, looking down, I did have another stem. I've just remembered that I'm going to need to tape back just to balance off with the other side. If you look here, this side would just grow out too much. So I've already clipped that side in a bit more. So I'm going to do the same that side. Okay, so there we are. I've completed that plant now. It's all nicely balanced up. I've stripped back a lot of the all the stipules off now. There is a lot of what I call sort of stem root growth, which means that you could cut off the stems where you get these dark sort of patches where there's root breaking out basically, but I'm not going to touch them. There's the odd stipule still left on there. But that's a nicely balanced dwarf now and stopped at just under 19 weeks, so I'm hopeful that should have plants. That one is actually a double white, one of my seedlings, so we'll just have to see how that goes, but I'm quite pleased with that one. Right, now an important little footnote to that is to ensure that when you have stopped your plants and you have defoliated them as well a bit, ensure that you do not water them again for several days after you've done it, because those ends, they really do need to heal. So it's important that you do not overwater your plants soon after you've actually stopped them. So be very careful with the watering. As I've said, I will up the amount of feed that I'm going to give them, the amount of liquid feed, just to give them a little bit of a kick. But the key thing is not to give them too much. Now, for those that are sort of newer subscribers and perhaps haven't had a look at some of my older videos, the whole idea of the stopping regime for shows is to ensure that your plants are at their peak flowering time, just ripe for a show. You could use the same method for ensuring that your plants are growing and flowering perfectly for a specific time or specific event. And for me, of course, many of the sort of serious Pelargonium showmen, the bulk of the main shows are held in June, and that's what we're aiming for. And there is a chart that I can put up on YouTube just to show you about the timing of all of the different types, because there are a good number of time differences for growing and getting plants spot on for the shows for all of the different types. Now, anybody that knows my regals will know that I have to stop mine very early, and I did mine around about the end of December. If you look back at the video that I did around about the end of December where I stopped my regals, I just have a really long growing period to get my regals in peak condition for the shows, hence the reason I need to stop mine perhaps earlier than you normally would. Okay, so let's have a quick look around my greenhouse then. Now over the back here I've got some of my main show regals. These have all been stopped and they are beginning to grow back. You can see here the little side shoots really beginning to develop on some of these plants. So they've done well. They were stopped, well over sort of a month ago now. So they're really beginning to shoot. Some I did later than others, but most of them are really beginning to push through now. So it's important that I do those. Now angels, I haven't grown angels for show for a few years, and I'm going to see what I can do with that this year. That'll be stopped soon. Now I've got a number of miniatures. Miniatures have not liked this winter at all. They really do not like winter, miniatures don't. And I have had a few casualties. I have had to get rid of some. Now, plants that you've got that are just young versions, you can sort of stop them in order to give them a bit of a shape at this time as well. And I am doing that as the time goes through. But in general, they're not too bad. There's one or two that I have stopped. That one I did yesterday while it was airy. I did a couple of my older Shrivenham starred dwarfs. I did those a couple of days ago. So they're done. They always take a good time to come through. But everything, all of these zonals now will all be stopped. But yeah, the main thing now, of course, when I am stopping is getting all these blooms off, because I want the strength of the plant to be into growing and not into flowering at this stage. Now, my variegated leaves, these always do quite well. I very seldom water them in the winter. That's not doing too bad, but that hasn't been watered in a long time. And I find the variegated leaf varieties do not need much in watering during the winter. Now, another thing to consider is that as the days get longer and the light gets a bit stronger, I will be increasing my feeding. At the moment, they're getting half strength once a week. But that will obviously gradually increase now. I will probably still only water them once a week because we can still get some pretty bad weather. It is only early February, and it's important that I don't overdo it, because there is a great temptation when the light really starts to get better. The days are really lengthening for you to go a bit overboard with the watering, but it's important that you don't do that. Now, I will, though, increase the strength of my feed. I'll probably go up to full strength this month, not increasing the amount that I actually water at the time of feeding, but I will increase the actual feed strength in the watering just to begin to get them to start moving. Okay, well, that's just about it from me today. It's been good to see you again. I hope that I'll be back perhaps later in the month just to give you an update of how things are growing, particularly as the days get longer and we get more light, and the plants will begin to turn and just show some interest in starting to grow again. So thanks for viewing in. Again, if you like this channel and you're new to it, just click that subscribe button below and you'll see my videos as and when they come out. I don't do masses because over the years I've covered just about everything that can be covered in growing pelargoniums, but I just like to do an update to show you where I am with my particular plants. So there we are, we're on the countdown to spring now, so it's good to see you again, and bye for now.